Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lilydale Radio. I'm Colleen Vander Zyden, and the name of this show is called Embracing Your Essence. Thank you so much for joining me. I am coming to you live tonight, and we are going to be talking about enlightened stress relief, which I will explain, of course, as we get going what that is, because this is a great technique that I have been using to help me handle stress, and I want to share it with you because I think it's really helpful. So as you're joining in, please feel free to say hello, let me know where you're from, etc., your name, any issues you might have you'd like to discuss. This is going to be a long show. I've got a lot to say about this. I will try not to take forever. I'm just moving my papers. Thank you. So thank you for joining me. So we are live from Lilydale, sort of. Hi, Mick. Hi, Darlene. Nice to see you. And before we get going and talking about the topic tonight, I wanted to just mention that the Lilydale program book is live online. So if you are interested in what's going to be happening this summer, you can go to lilydaleassembly.org and see everything that is happening. Click on the Learn button at the top. That will take you to the events, and then you'll just scroll through the months. Below the calendar, you'll see special events. Who is coming, who is special. We have a lot of people coming this summer from various TV shows all across the country. I don't have time to get into it fully tonight because, like I said, I have a lot to say about this topic, and I want to make sure I teach it to you, so to speak, in such a way that you can use it moving forward with your life. So what else do I need to tell you about? Oh, if you want a paper copy, call the office and they will send you one. So at lilydaleassembly.org, if you go to the bottom, you'll see the contact information. You can just call and ask for a copy and they will mail you one. So isn't that lovely? So we want to do that. So let's see. You want to connect with me if you haven't yet at Colleen Vander Zyden, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach. That would be my Facebook page. Please follow and or like me there. And my website, ColleenVanderZyden.com. And for those of you who don't like spelling that, psychicmediumcolleen.com will work. Hello, everybody. Hi, Diane. Nice to see you. Hi, Joy. Hi, Georgine. Hi, Ray. So, as I said, we are going to be talking about enlightened stress relief. It seems that so many of us are stuck in stress, aren't we? We have so many things that happen in our lives that keep us stuck in that emotion. We feel worried, stressed, we can't sleep, all of these things. I am going to talk about this one strategy. It's a simple strategy, not necessarily easily done all the time, of course, but it is a simple strategy that can help you instantly. And I know that sounds really grandiose and over the top, but it can instantly help you shift out of stress. And I will explain how to do it. I will give you many examples, hence the length of the show, because I wanted to make sure I gave you enough ideas so you could understand and watch this practice and see how it works. So, hello, Joanna. Nice to see you. Trisha, Bristol, Beth. Hello, everybody. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm very excited about this show because having been a former stress queen, I'm not so bad now. I might only be a princess now, but having been a former stress queen, this technique has helped me. So I want to give you a little story first. I have a friend who is very worried about her daughter. With COVID, her daughter lost her job and any prospect of a new one in a related field. My friend, being a very caring person, has had many sleepless nights over this, worried about what's going to happen. She's been trying to figure out how to help her daughter pay her bills, trying to rework her own budget to help her daughter. She thinks about the lost opportunities her daughter has had now, in addition to the stress about having lost her current job. She knows she can't fix it, but yet she's mired in the worry. And I can be like her at times, worried about my kids or many other things. But with a recent situation, I noticed I had responded differently to something that happened currently. And as I noticed that of course gave me the ideas like, oh my goodness, I should share this idea because I have done these things so naturally throughout my life here, last couple of years anyway. So my son went through a breakup. And I really liked his former girlfriend, and they seemed like a good match. And although he doesn't show it, he's actually quite sensitive. And in the past, I would have been very worried about his response to this problem, how he would handle it. Having to find a new place as well has been a little bit of a struggle. He's not a saver of money, so that always adds on another layer of things that he has to deal with. I noticed after this happened that my response was different than it might have been several years ago. And what was different was that I didn't step into that worrying for him. I commiserated, but I didn't feel like I needed to do something to fix it. I'd been practicing my own strategies, what I call magical mind games, for years, for many years. And without awareness, what I had done was moved into an instant reframe. And that is what we are going to talk about tonight, an instant reframe. And what this is when we intentionally look at a situation, reinterpreting it to keep us empowered and out of those stuck, difficult emotions. You know, the worry, the sadness, the fear, all of those things. It's instant. I call it instant reframe because it happens in a matter of a second or two to shift our thoughts. I know it sounds impossible. I know it sounds over the top. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not. It's a matter of deciding to look at things from an alternative perspective. And I will explain this all out for you so you understand how to do it with, like I said, many examples so you can see how it's applied and that it works. In life, we are always interpreting our situations, always. We always do this. We interpret our circumstances, events, situations. We interpret interactions with people. We do it without thought. We just do it. Much of our stress and worry comes from these unaware interpretations. These unaware interpretations can help us or make us feel helpless, miserable, hopeless. We can feel attacked. We can feel judged. And that, of course, creates even further and more emotional reactions. When we are stuck in emotions, we don't think clearly. And most importantly, we're miserable, right? So our motivator for learning how to do something like this is we don't want to be miserable, right? Nobody wants to be miserable. Although I know we've all met a few people who seem to like it. Really, you and I, do not want to be miserable. So when we are stuck in those, we don't think clearly. We have those sleepless nights and we have crazy brain, which I use as my label for when my thoughts go crazy repetitively and I can't shut them down. I actually saw a research study the other day that says women, men do not take offense, that women spend about 2 hours a day worried. 2 hours a day. What a waste of time. When I saw that, I couldn't believe it. It also said that 2/3 of women, I think this was a study on women, women have periods of time where they're actually constantly worried, more than 2 hours a day. Have you ever experienced that? Something happens in your life and your mind just goes and goes and goes. And it seems like you spend every waking minute in worry. I've been shifting perspectives for years, actually decades. So it's really quite natural for me to automatically connect with a perspective that's going to help me feel better. I've been doing it forever. This is what I teach when I teach my coaching classes and what I do when I do workshops, what I do when I talk to you every week here live. I'm teaching you a new perspective. And I will pause for a minute. If you are just joining in, I'm Colleen Vanderzijden. I'm a registered medium at Lilydale Assembly, and this is a Lilydale Assembly radio show. My topic is embracing your essence. I cannot talk because I'm too excited to talk to you. Embracing your essence. It's all about learning more about you and how you can live your best life. So every week on this show, I give you a tip, an idea, a suggestion that you can implement so you are happier, basically. Tonight's is called Enlightened Stress Relief, and we are talking about doing an instant reframe. So we all want to be happier, right? So that's what we're going to do. So I am going to talk about how you can instantly reframe any situation. I know, again, sounds grandiose. It works, though. It really does. It's releasing you from that worry and that misery. It's simple, not always easy, as I said, especially if this idea is new to you and you've never really worked with, played with, or even thought about reinterpreting situations. If you play with this, though, and we'll start with little situations first, easy always to practice with those little ones that aren't, the big problems of life. You know which ones I'm talking about. So the little ones first. This idea will radically change your life. It changed my life. I've been practicing them for years. I've been teaching them. They work. You'll reduce the number of hours you're worried. And because you're going to be reducing the number of hours you're worried, you're going to be increasing the numbers of hours of satisfaction, contentment, and joy. So first things first, when you notice you're stuck in an emotion that's difficult, challenging, you're complaining about your situations, or you're complaining about them, or they, in quotes. Whenever we talk about them, we're blaming someone or something else for our misery. That means we're stuck. That means we're in the worry. That means it's time to pause. You just take a break, notice it. As soon as you notice, stop for a second before you get all wrapped up in stuff already, because that's a habit, right? We have a stressful situation, and what do? We all go crazy, complaining and worrying, and our minds go insane. So we take that moment to pause, and we're going to choose to move into reinterpreting. We're going to rewrite the story. Where you become aware of the emotions, then you're going to choose to rewrite it. What you're going to do to get into this is we want to notice your attachments, okay? We get caught up in worry or stress because we're attached. We get attached to wanting life to be different than it is, right? We want it to be easier, simpler, happier, more secure, the way it used to be. We get attached to wanting people to act in a certain manner, a different way. We want them to respond to us differently. We get attached to the idea that there's not enough money, there's not enough time. We get attached to the belief of how we want life to be. Well, life should be this way. And we get attached to that, causing more and more stress. We get attached to outcomes. We want uncertain situations to resolve the way we want them to resolve, with the happy endings. We want things to be the way we want them to be. We have these specific results in mind, and we attach to them, thinking that if we only got those specific results, we would feel better and everything would be great and our stress would go away. When we have a problem, something going on we don't like, our minds attempt to figure out the answers. It just does it. You don't have to think about it, it just does it. And that creates that crazy brain with the endless story loop as it tries to come up with solutions. And that's what moves us into the attachment. We might rationalize how we feel or spend time replaying situations, wishing for a different outcome. How many of you have had one of those nights where you're lying in bed and you're replaying something that happened, something that you did maybe, or said something somebody else maybe misread what you meant, or somebody else said something to you, got you all upset, and you're lying in bed and you're replaying it in your head. Well, I can't believe they said that to me. I should have said this. Oh, why didn't I think of that? And we go on and on. We're attached to all of that. We're attached to how we feel life might be unfair, or how it's wrong and that we should be in a situation that's so challenging. We're attached to thoughts, we're attached to justifications. I'm justified in my anger at that person. We're justified in our feelings, and it's their fault, not ours. We could be attached to our complaints. We like complaining. We like, going on and on and on. And that's all when we get stuck. So attachment is what gets us into that. And attachment is so much of what's causing our stress. If we can rewrite those stories, we can shift those attachments, moving into a more empowered state. For my son's situation, I realized my response was more empowered than in the past, because I wasn't attached to wanting the situation to be different. I would definitely like them to still be together, but that's not my business, not my role, not my anything. But I didn't wish for it. I didn't get attached to it, thinking that was the only solution. I didn't fixate on how unfortunate this was. I could have replayed that over in my head over and over. I can't believe this happened, blah, 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 gone on and on. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is so that you can start to recognize this story in some areas of your life, where you can start to see the parallels here between my story and what you may have experienced. I will, of course, tell you more stories later so you can see how this works. Okay, I wasn't attached to feeling worried for him. Females love to worry about other people. It must be in our bones or something. We love to do that. But with this situation, I didn't fall into the trap of empathizing with him to the point that I was feeling it or carrying it. How many of you have picked up on other people's stuff and carried it with you? Your son is upset about something, your daughter something, even younger kids, they got a bad grade, and we feel their pain and we take it on. And when we take it on, we're attaching to their pain We're taking it within us, and then we're the ones carrying the load as well. We can empathize and be kind and tactful and all of that, but we don't have to immerse ourselves in it. So I didn't take this energy on. And I wasn't attached because I had done an instant reframe where I recognized that his life is his life. His experience are necessary for his self-growth. Anytime we have an interaction with people, it's their growth, it's their story. You don't have to carry their story. So although painful for my son, this situation is essential for him to grow into the person he's becoming. It's not my business to worry for him or take his issues on. I can be kind and I can validate his feelings and I can be sad for him, but I'm not going to immerse myself in his stuff. So my reframe that his stuff is his stuff moves me out of attachment and then takes me out of those connected emotions. By doing that, that doesn't mean I don't love him. It doesn't mean I don't care. It doesn't mean I don't recognize his sadness with this. It just means I'm not carrying it. When you're feeling stuck in stress or worry, that kind of thing, asking yourself, what are you attached to, will help you know how to reframe it. Okay? And I will, of course, give you some thoughts and suggestions as we go. This is basically tonight, in case you're wondering, a mini workshop on how to feel better. We always talk about stress relief and everybody says, oh, I'm going to go for a walk, exercise, eat right, sleep right. You know me. If you've ever listened to me before, I'm never going to tell you the obvious. I'm going to give you something totally different like this, the instant reframe. So, let's continue. As thinking about some stuff that you may be stressed about, and if you want to write them in the comments, I would love to see them. I can see the comments that are, if you're on my personal page, my business page, I can see the comments there. I cannot see the comments if you're watching from Lily Dale's page, but I will look at them after the show is over. So I will go through a whole bunch of stuff. Feel free to put your stresses in if you want to share. So we're going to play with the instant reframe so you can see how to do it. Now remember, an instant reframe is when we intentionally look at a situation, we step back a little bit, we notice what's going on, we're upset, we're worried, we're stressed, we notice that. Then we step back and we intentionally look at it from a different angle. We're going to reinterpret it so it keeps us empowered and out of being stuck in the worry or stress. That's the goal. It's not about, and this is where some people will get stuck, it's not about changing the situation, the circumstance, the event, or another person. It's not about that. We're not wishing our physical situation would change. Maybe we do want it to change, but that is not the point. We're not going to reinterpret it to say, oh, this is definitely going to change tomorrow. No. This reinterpretation is all about you. Totally all about you to help you feel better. So we're going to reframe it to move out of attachment and get back to hope. So, and happiness and joy and peace and calm and all of those things. We will start with a few small situations so you can see how it works. And while these small, in quotes, situations are really minor inconveniences or aggravations in the broad picture of life, you ever notice those small things are the ones that we can really get stuck in stress sometimes? They can be big. So we are going to practice reframing with those things first so you can see it. And don't worry, I'll get to some bigger ones later, and we'll talk about that. So I'm just checking the comments here. Oh my goodness. Beth just said 2 hours of worry seems light to me sometimes. Oh my goodness. Isn't it amazing how worry can infiltrate our lives and cause so much grief and pain and sleepless nights? Thanks, Joanna. Fiance is on disability. I'm working full-time, cooking, cleaning, caring for him, caring for cats, writing my books, writing for other income, have my own disabilities. That's a lot of stuff, Rachel. Grow and growth. Yes, that's what we're doing. And when we're here, isn't it? We're here to grow. Well, hopefully, Rachel, some of these things will help you that I'm going to discuss and help you be able to reframe some of what's going on so you don't get stuck in it. We're going to do that. So we'll start. Here we go. One of my all-time favorites, if you've watched some other times, I've talked about this previously. One of my big stressors at times can be feeling like I don't have enough time. And in the scheme of life, really, come on, right? However, we all know we have pressures. We have pressures at work. We have deadlines. We have things we have to get done in a certain timeline, whether it's required by work or it's a self-imposed deadline. We have deadlines. So I'm going to talk about that one first, just to kind of get us going. Checking Kathy. Perfect timing. My one daughter is waiting to hear if she's going to be accepted to college. My other one is waiting for an internship. Although not as worried as before, I do take it on. Easy to do, especially with our own kids. Right, Kathy? Very easy. Worry is a tremendous waste of imagination. Ooh, I like that, Mick. Right, because how creative do our worries get sometimes? Wow, it's too bad they send us the wrong way. So maybe we can use some of that creative imagination as we're reframing our perspectives and what's happening in our lives. Thanks, Mick. That's a good tie-in. So I don't have time. So what is it I'm attached to? I'm attached to the feelings of not enough time, lack. I don't have enough, lack. I don't have enough time to complete my projects. And so, of course, I get all stressed out, worried, complaining, blah, blah. I don't have time. I don't have time. You know. So the reframe that I use a lot is I have all the time I need. I know it's very simple. And I know there are some people out there going, oh, gosh, not another thing where we're just going to come up with these words that don't mean anything or don't do anything. But let's look at this for a second. And I'm going to spend a little time on this one just so you get it. If I truly move into, I have all the time I need, I'm going to feel totally different. Now, this came out of, I was a teacher for a long time, taught orchestras. We would have concerts. Invariably, what happened year after year is I'd be 5 rehearsals away from a performance with whichever group, the high school orchestra, for example. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, we only have, sign of lack, we only have, sign of lack. We only have 5 rehearsals left. We're not going to be ready. I don't have enough time to fix this and that and make it as good as I want to. So I noticed after a bit of time that this was just really stressing me out. And then I moved into, I have all the time I need. You only have what you have. Granted, we can do a time warp on occasion, but you only have what you have. So when I started shifting to, I only need these 5 rehearsals and it will be just fine. I have all the time I need. What I did with that is it helped me move into acceptance rather than resisting and putting a negative spin on the time I had. I could just move myself into that. And what ended up happening is I kept telling myself that, even if I didn't feel it, even if inside I'm going, that can't possibly be true, they're not going to be good enough, it's not going to work. I still kept telling myself that I have all the time I need. And you know what I found out? The concerts were fine. They were fine. They were exactly as they were supposed to be, usually just as good as I wanted them to be. By believing I only needed the time I had, I was able to accomplish what I needed to accomplish quickly. That helps me reframe everything. It's an instant reframe. I have all the time I need. It also, reframes will help us with our self-growth. In this scenario, with acceptance and trust, I'm back in my power. I'm not stuck with some cyclical thinking where I'm going on and on about how it's not going to work out. It's just not. You know how it happens when we get stressed, right? We're worried, we're negative, we're looking for the worst. Our brain is doing it by itself. We are probably feeding it a little bit by allowing it to keep going. But with this new strategy, you'll be able to stop it and shift. So this will help you. When we're looking for this interpretation, that's going to help us let go of stress and all the related emotions. Okay, so that's the first one. You were back in our power. Just a nice simple one to start with. Now let's think about, how when you have a slow driver in front of you, you're in a rush, you got to get to work on time, you're going to be late, whatever it is. Or you're driving, you get a flat tire. Now you're really going to be late. You're stuck in traffic. You notice these are all delays of a sort here. Delayed flights. You're not getting out when you want to. Obviously, you're attached to timing, your desire to get there faster. When you have that, you're going to feel frustrated, impatient. You might even take the situation personally. We've all heard about road rage. Maybe you accidentally pull out in front of somebody and they're behind you swerving, trying to get right up on your butt there, trying to intimidate you because you did something. So they're all upset at you, taking it personally. Maybe some of us, we have somebody in front of us, we're going, get out of the way, I'm in a hurry, get out of my way, I'm in a hurry. Okay, so that's how we react to something like that. We're getting stressed out, we're not staying calm. Instant reframe. We cannot change the physical delay. Eventually maybe you can pass somebody, whatever. But you can't change it. So we want to rewrite the story. So one of my favorites, rewrite the story, is maybe this person who is driving so slowly in front of you is preventing you from getting a ticket further down the line because you would have been speeding. Or maybe the flat tire is stopping you from being on the road just at that moment that a deer was going to run across the road right into your car and you would have had an accident. So you look for something on the creative side. Maybe that. This could be protecting you from something else. If you do it that way, you'll notice, if next time you have a situation like that and you reframe it that way, maybe this is protecting me from a car accident, a deer hitting me, whatever it is, a ticket, you'll immediately calm down. You'll be moving into patience and you'll be strengthening your power to choose to relax. You're getting back into the power of yourself. Okay, let's see. How to reframe a belief from childhood that's attached to a negative emotion or a loyalty to a parent's beliefs or feelings. Let me think on that one. How to reframe a belief from childhood that's attached to a negative emotion or loyalty. Whoa, I might need more information on that, just to get it in my head. I will move on to the next one while she figures out how to say it so I understand it. So just so I can be specific. So let's pick another simpler one as well. Someone not returning a phone call or an email quickly enough, right? Sometimes we get stressed about that. How come they're not getting back to me right away? I really need to know the answer to this. I can't believe they're not getting back. So of course we want what we want. We want them to respond. We want it in our timing right now. Sometimes this can trigger us as well, and we can move into those feelings of feeling rejected or not important enough, which is a reflection always of not feeling good enough. So our instant reframe, their behavior has nothing to do with me. And then you make something up. Maybe they're at a conference. Maybe they're in a meeting. Maybe they're sick that day. They're not even at work. Maybe they're so overwhelmed with emails or phone calls they just haven't caught up yet. Maybe your email went into spam. Maybe you addressed it wrong and it didn't even go to the right person. So we start to rewrite the story so you feel better and you don't take that action personally. Frequently we do that. We take it personally. They're not doing what we want them to do. Okay, anytime we say they, we have lost our power and we are back into blaming somebody else, which is only amplifying our stress. So the self-growth in that is you're learning not to take this personally. Okay, Kasha, I gotta see what she has to say. If I imagine having a lot of money, but I was shamed for wanting money by a parent. Okay. Having a lot, but I was shamed. So we would have to, I'm going to think on that more as I keep talking. If it doesn't come to me during the show, Kasha, I will get back to you and I will post it. So all of you who want to know if something doesn't like immediately pop into my head, I will post it so everybody can see. I'll do that. So I will let you know. You'll know as I go. So the next thing we want to talk about, say you're not getting something you want. You want a job, a certain house, a certain partner, or even just any job, any house, any partner. You could be attached to your timing. You want it when you want it. That's a big one. A lot of us get stressed over timing. If you don't have a partner now, you might think, I really wanted a partner. I thought I'd have one by now. Okay, or you really wanted this house, but the sale fell through, so this would have worked. Or why didn't I get that job? It would have been the perfect time. I need it right now. So we're attached to some kind of timing. We could be attached to a story we've told ourselves that this house, this partner would have been perfect for us. So we're actually attached to a story, an illusion, because we don't know that for sure. So an instant reframe here could be, it wasn't the right time. This is not the right time. When the time is right, the job, the house, the partner, whatever it is, will appear in divine order. Everything is in divine order. Or we could rewrite the story that counteracts the idea that this would have been perfect. What if, for you, Helen, I know you love my what ifs, what if this delay or rejection is protecting you from the bigger problem? So say this job you didn't get wasn't all that was promised to you. I don't know how many clients I've had who have said, I got what I thought was the perfect job and it turned out they lied to me, or they didn't give me everything they were going to give me. There aren't benefits with this and I already quit my other job. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard something like that. so you can rewrite the story if something like that has happened. You have found the perfect house, you loved it, you did everything you were supposed to, but then it fell through. Maybe the house had structural problems within it that would not have been discovered until after you bought it, and you would have been bankrupt, using that creativity to really go crazy on our reinterpretation here. What if you met this guy and you thought he was absolutely just the most wonderful person in the world, but then he rejects you and he goes off with somebody else? What if he was a serial killer? I actually saw that in People magazine. That actually happened to somebody. It's a true story. So what if that? So this can help us, really kind of go crazy. Your instant reframe doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be true. All it has to do is get you out of attachment. You can make it up. You can go crazy with it. It gets you back into your power so you can release those emotions. And lots of times when I come up with a crazy story, I start laughing about it, and it helps me separate from the emotions or whatever I feel has happened to me that has stopped me from being in my joy. Okay? So, and I know, I want to make sure everybody understands this. I know when you have a big problem, and I'm going to get to those big ones now. When you have a big problem, it can be a challenge to rewrite because your mind will immediately try to talk you out of it. It's not true. This isn't coming. It's not going to happen. I'm never going to find anybody. It's unrealistic. What are you thinking? Even trying to shift this. And that's why sometimes being more creative with using your imagination there and making crazier interpretations can help, because some of them definitely won't be true, but it's okay. You can kind of do it and play with it, and it'll make you laugh and, like I said, get you out of that emotion. But even if something's nagging at you going, well, I can't say that, it's not true, say it anyway. Just set aside the logical brain and decide instead to look at it from a different perspective. The ultimate goal right now is to release that, whatever is stopping you, that stress, the worry, that's stopping you from living your joyful life. That's the goal. Okay, so if we have to be a little creative in our interpretations, go for it. Oh, good. Somebody's responding to Kasha. Yes. Thank you, Rachel. That's excellent. What she's saying, in case people don't see it, I think first you need to reframe. I'm allowed to have nice things. I deserve nice things. I'm a good person. To reframe herself is what she's saying, and that's a great way to think about that too. Thank you. Okay, next, let's move into money. Big one. That's a big one, right? Huge source of stress. We're attached to feelings of lack. There's not enough. We might be attached to fears, obsessive thinking. We can't pay our bills. You know how it goes. I'm going to assume if any of you are in that situation, you're doing the best you can to handle it, okay? You're looking for a job if that's the case. You've cut your budget, all of those things. I have been there, and I want to make sure I say that because sometimes people think, oh, she just thinks it's so easy. Just change how you look at it and everything will, change. But I've been there. I remember literally looking for coins so I could go buy food. I had no food in the house, and I managed to scrape up like $3 or $4 and bought just a few things that would last me a week. Can you imagine? I was eating like cheese sandwiches and eggs, and that was like it. So I've been there. And what I did during that time was I used to say to myself, I haven't starved to death yet. Which, when you think about it, is kind of funny, because if I've starved to death, I wouldn't be alive, and would I be talking about this? So it was a little funny. It got me kind of laughing, It's not that bad because I haven't starved to death yet. And that got me out of the worrying, and I moved back into the trusting that this situation's not going to last forever. Every time we have something that's stressful, painful, it doesn't last forever. So if you can think about that as you're reframing, that may help. There may be something you want to do to help you think of it from a different angle. This helps us accept at this time this physical situation that you're in. When we are obsessing about something, worrying, stressing, we're fixating, we're resisting what's happening. We want it to be different naturally. We want it to be different. But we need to move into acceptance in order to process and move forward clearly. Acceptance doesn't mean we like it, doesn't mean we want it. It's just the way it is right now, but it's not going to last forever. Another reframe you might do with money is I have everything I need. it gets you into acceptance and gratitude. You could do, somebody says, they make more money all the time. And I'm like, oh yeah, they make more money all the time, and it's coming to me. So I might do this. So it allows us to release the attachments that are there. I know it seems like, for some of you, it seems like there's no way this is going to work. But I want to use the word implore you. I implore you to try it. I implore you to play with it and see. We all know the more we focus on what we don't have, the more we don't have. So an instant reframe, pausing and reinterpreting, is going to help you shift out of that habitual thinking. Anytime you notice, you just go, wait, I'm going to change this up. And then what you're doing, when you do that, you're becoming empowered again. You're back in your power. Another thought to consider, particularly when you have something that's very difficult and challenging, is what are you learning that you can only learn from this situation? What can you learn that you can only learn from this situation? You know I'm big on everything that happens to us is here to help us in our self-growth, help us connect to our soul, connect to our power. So what can you learn that can help? Mick is saying, that's a great point. Everyone wants a happy ending, but most of us don't have the patience to see it to the end. It always ends well. Yeah, and if we look back sometimes on our lives, I call it life review as one of my magical mind games, and we look back and we can see those times where maybe we've struggled in the past, where we've had a similar situation, we've lost a job previously, or we didn't have money or whatever in the past, and we can see how we came through it, which can help us reclaim that power and feel empowered to move forward, because we know it's not going to live forever. So that helps a lot too. Okay, good. I'm glad that's helping a bit, Kasha. Okay, let's see. When I think about the time I didn't have money, and I think about what I learned from that, I learned to be resourceful and get by with less than I thought I needed. I learned what was really important to me. People. Food was nice and some housing was good. I learned how to save money. I always tell people I'm really good at being poor. I know how to do it. I know how to stretch stuff. I know where you can find stuff for free. I know everything about that. I learned to appreciate what I had. And I learned, probably most importantly, is that I can handle anything that comes my way. Okay, so that's some stuff to think about. I'm looking at Pam. I have a parent with what I know is an irrational fear. Work my way out of it, no matter which I say this is ridiculous. I'm going to click the see more and see if it works. How can you talk yourself out of fear? Where's my pen? Okay, I want to write that down so I don't forget that one too. Belief and fear. Talk yourself out of fear. Okay. Fear is an interesting thing. I'm going to go there right now because so many of us have fears, right? We have the fear of the unknown. We have the fear of, losing our job. We have a fear of death. We have fear of somebody we love dying. We have that fear. When we think about fear, what are we attached to? So that's the first question we want to ask ourselves. What are we attached to? We're attached to wanting some kind of security, some kind of safety. We're attached to wanting to know everything's going to work out okay. We're attached to wanting to protect ourselves, keep ourselves safe. That's the big one there. That's what it is. I'm just talking and seeing what comes up. So we're wanting safety. So we're attached to safety. Not a bad thing, right? Because we want to be safe. The problem, of course, comes in when we are so attached to it that it limits us, it limits our choices, it limits how we live, because we don't take risks, we don't expand ourselves, we don't allow ourselves to make choices that involve a little bit of risk. So let's see. So what would be a great instant reframe? Well, obviously, something along the lines of I am safe at all times. If you have a specific fear, you could, of course, modify it for that. This is a great opportunity, too, for those of you who are spiritually minded, and I talk about trust a lot, trusting the universe, trusting God, trusting ourselves. And You might add, I am safe at all times and trust that all will be well. You may not believe it, of course. You may think to yourself, oh, yeah, right, sure. But until you try it, until you really feel what that would feel like. So these instant reframes, we want to feel. What would you feel like if everything is a blessing to you? You know, if you say you become unemployed, of course you're attached to, well, money, number one, right? But you might be feeling helpless or powerless, and you're attached to the loss, and you're like, I want it to be this other way instead. You might say to yourself, this is a blessing in disguise. This is the perfect opportunity to create my dreams. So you start to twist things around a little bit. So whatever specifically an irrational fear is, you want to find out what you're attached to and what that means. Usually, like, fear would be a safety thing, and you recognize how it limits you. So you want to embrace something along that line. So hopefully that helps. If more thoughts pop into my head, I'll share them as I go. What we want to do whenever we do these, like I said, is to really feel it. So, like, I want to go back to the fear for a second, sorry. If you want to talk about being safe, I am safe at all times. I am guided. That might be something else. I am guided through every situation that presents itself to me. Something like that. Just the awareness of that, and you think about how you would feel more secure, and you would feel safer. So you want to come up with something that would help. Okay, let me know if you think that's going to help you, Pam. So let's talk about, what else is there? Health concerns. We've all been there, right? So what are we attached to? The fear of the unknown, wanting things to be different or the way they used to be. We could be fixating on how uncomfortable or painful something is. Our words are important. As we use them, they attract more to us, so we want to make sure we're using them wisely. So an instant reframe might be something like, I'm alive and loving this day. Even if you wake up, you can hardly move, getting out of bed, you're in pain, but I'm alive and loving this day. It gets you out of the unknown future, thinking that this is never going to end, gets you back into the present, and it's also moving you into gratitude and appreciation. If you want a little darker humor, I have a couple of friends who have been struggling with health things, and they always do something really interesting when they reframe, and they'll say, well, I'm not dead yet, which implies I'm going to make the most out of life. I'm here still, I'm going to make the most of it. I've got more living to do. And sometimes they'll say, well, it could be worse. We've all tried that one, right? And that does work. It could be worse. I've had many friends who say that getting seriously ill helped them live their lives and love their lives more fully and completely. It wasn't desired or anything like that, but it helped them shift their perspective. It helped them have more gratitude for what they had in their lives now, for their friends, their family, the birds singing, good music, and so many also acknowledge strengthening of their spiritual connection during some of our toughest times. Out of that comes a strengthening of your spiritual connection. You could say, what if this health concern is leading you to an even better life? I know that some might sound really crazy, off the wall, strange, but what if it is? And then you might do an instant reframe of, I'm excited about my future. Wouldn't that be something if you were struggling with pain or chronic illness, or just something less traumatic but nonetheless still painful or limiting, and you just said, I'm excited about my future? What would that do for your energy? Your energy would be expanding and reaching outwards, looking for things to get excited about. You'd be creating things to get excited about just by that simple thing. And as you do that, I'm excited about my future, it gets you out of that stress and out of the worry. You're reframing it. You're changing what you think could be. Could be better also. I grew up with parents saying it could be worse. It could be better also. Yeah, so you got to use what works for you. Sometimes that is a good point, Maura. So thank you for pointing that out. Sometimes we don't want to use it could be worse if it's going to lead us down the wrong path. If it's going to lead us to a gratitude and appreciation, yes, but if it could be worse, and we're like, blah, 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 that's not good. Don't go that way. Okay, here's a fun one that we've all experienced, feeling attacked or criticized by somebody else. criticism, judgment. Your immediate reaction, of course, you feel hurt, defensive. You might be angry. You could do that replaying thing. We've all been there. You wish you'd said something else. You might justify your anger. I should be angry after what they said to me. You could be frustrated that they don't understand their behavior is wrong, or inconsiderate, or rude, or just plain nasty. Then you feel helpless because you can't get through to them, and you know how it goes. This could be triggering your own self-worth feelings and all that, keeping you stuck. And even if you are justified, because yes, people can be mean, inconsiderate, and pretty big jerks, then you have a choice. You can stay there complaining about what's happening, or you can move into that power of choice and decide you don't want to be miserable anymore, that you want to let it go. Is it worth it to hold on to your anger? If you reframe it, you'll move ahead faster, of course. So what's happening with this when, we have that sense of being attacked or criticized or just dealing with people who are jerks, we're attached to wanting them to act differently. Or we might be attached to feeling justified in our anger, frustration, irritation. And we don't want to let it go. Sometimes people think that if we let it go, that means we approve of their behavior. It doesn't. We let it go so we can feel better. We want to feel better. So we want to accept them for who they are. So to get there, we're going to make up an interpretation that moves you out of taking their comments personally. We don't want to take them personally. Instead of, I can't believe the infamous they, did this to me, or what's wrong with them. Remember, them is a sign you're out of your power. Whenever you say anything like that, that's a good time to pause and reframe. And as soon as you notice the them or the irritation, the instant reframe is, this is just the way they are. It has nothing to do with me. Okay? So it's just the way they are. I was talking to somebody the other day that was upset about the way someone had spoken to her. And I said, that's the way they are. Why are you even stepping into that energy? Don't even step into it. Don't go there. It's not worth your time. Don't go there. And she said, well, I know, but. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Don't go with the but either. So you know it. So, but think about that. Okay? It's just the way they are. They have nothing to do with me. If that's harder to do, you could be more compassionate and say they might be having a really rough day. They must be having a really rough day. And you can continue with that. They must be totally unaware of how they're coming across. They have no idea what they're saying to me. Or you could be even more compassionate. It's so sad. They're having such a struggle in life. You don't have to step into their story. You don't have to take on their negative energy. So when somebody told me this many years ago, that when I'm angry at somebody or irritated at somebody, I'm actually giving my power to them. And I thought, I don't want to do that, because then it felt like to me that I was actually feeding their whatever it was they were doing. So an instant reframe on that is, I'm not wasting 1 second giving my power to them. I'm not wasting 1 second giving my power away. I don't want to do it. We can intellectually understand that people are the way they are and still be emotionally stuck. So what we want to do is take this instant reframing, rewrite the story with that fictional twist. We're going to go crazy right now with some things. So if you can come up with that humorous, crazy, slightly off or even more off interpretation that you're going to laugh at, it's going to help you get out of the emotional turbulence. Something like, it's too bad they were born without a brain. Or, I wonder if their doctor knows they've escaped. So you see what I'm doing. I want to go with something that's really out there now. I like to explore what could possibly have happened in their lives that caused them to be such a jerk. What happened? Did something happen? One of my favorites is, they must have been attacked by a kitten or giraffe, and now they hate all living things. Or, I wonder what planet they're from. Or, they must be an alien and not know how to interact with people. And a new favorite, they must be getting ready for the jerk convention. Oh, I hope they win. So this stuff gets us out of getting stuck in those emotions of feeling justified. Granted, yes, they could be total jerks, horrible, horrible people. When we let them drag us down, we're giving our power away. Yes, I know you're justified, but you have the choice. Do you want to stay there or you want to let it go? So you can let it go. They can still be a jerk. All of that. Okay, I'm going to go back and check the comments. When I'm driving, there seems to be a frustrated driver. Just breathe in a few minutes. The situation is gone. They turn off the road. Yes. Something you might try too is going, I set my intention that they turn, reframing everything. Things are not going well at work. I never know what to expect going into a meeting with someone that's just the way they are. Yes. Never step into their energy. Now, the thing too, Rachel, something to consider. There's so much. You see why I said I had so much I had to say about this little mini workshop tonight. If you know you're going into a meeting with people who are jerks, if you know you're going to be interacting with somebody, you know how it goes in life, prepare yourself ahead of time. You know they're going to be like this, so plan your response ahead of time. If you choose to instantly reframe things ahead of time, then, something like, they're getting ready for the jerk convention. Oh, I hope they win. Kind of gets you set up to go in there and kind of be on the lookout for how they're going to prove they're a jerk. You might decide doing something like rating them. Ooh, that's a 10 out of 10. That was a good one there. You'll be looking at it without being attached to whatever's happening. You'll be able to say, oh yeah, that was a good one, 10. Oh, that jerk comment wasn't strong enough. I think you could have made it worse. You don't have to say them out loud, of course. But in your head, you can do that. That will help you look at it without being tied in to it. If they're attacking you, same way. If you feel like they're attacking you, same way. When you reframe this, we're letting go of the attachment. We're letting go of the emotional reaction. We're choosing to set it aside. We're not going to go there. This helps you then choose your response because you're not going to be all tied up in your head with there. Even though you might be triggered, you recognize it, you pause, and then you step back and figure out a different way to see. I hope that helps a little bit. Never take anything personally. One of the 4 agreements. One of my most favorite ones. If we took nothing personally, that could be the only thing we lived by in our whole lives, taking nothing personally. We would take care of so much of our stress and anxiety right there. It would be amazing. Leanne, they do not deserve my power. I love that, Leanne. They do not deserve my power. Yes. Never give your power to someone because it's like a little vacuum cleaner. They'll just suck it away from you. Humor always works, or their underwear is too tight. Oh my God, that's awesome, Diane. That is awesome. Their underwear is too tight. See, now doesn't that make us laugh when we think about that? Like, what is their problem? Like what's going on? And if we can separate in my online course, and I've talked about this in the past, we don't this story of how we always have experiences where we're talking to somebody who's such a jerk. And if we start to reframe that, why they're like that, which is what I've been talking about all night, why we reframe that, and sometimes we'll move into that compassion. Like, really, what is going on in their heads, that has brought them to this place where they're such a jerk? Like, what has happened to them? And we start to move into that compassion. It doesn't mean we approve of their behavior, like it, but if we move into compassion, we're not going to take it on. We're not going to immerse ourselves in that. It's the same thing if there's a belief that's stopping us. We start to recognize these, all throughout our lives, we picked up beliefs that have helped us live, protecting us usually from some problem. As we work with that, we'll start to see how we can reframe it and realize that some of these beliefs just aren't right. They weren't right to begin with. But we've had them so long, and then when we're aware we have the belief, awareness, of course, is the big step. Once we are aware of it, then we can choose, are we going to keep it or let it go? Do we want to reframe it? With a belief, always check to see how this belief protected you. Okay? It's a safety thing. How did it protect you? I was a people pleaser. I was a people pleaser because it protected me from getting judged. Okay? So I can see how that goes. So then I would swing that back on myself and I would say, well, is that helping me? Am I in my power when I do that? No, because I'm shifting my beliefs to accommodate what I think other people want from me, not what I want. So then I turn inward and what is it I need? What kind of reframe would I do that's going to make me back in my power, believing in myself? Okay, so you see how we kind of play with these? So we allow these thoughts and ideas to just take us from one thing to the next. It's very cool. Yes, Jan is saying it's not about me. And you know what? Most of the time, stuff is not about us. It really isn't. Even if it's coming at us, it's not about us. So if you play with this thought, these instant reframes and how we look at things, and I know this is really deep for some people, especially if you have never considered the idea, the simple idea, that you are interpreting things all of the time. So if you've never thought about that, I would suggest that you start to look at anytime you get triggered by something or you have an emotional reaction, happy, sad, any kind of reaction, and just see how you interpreted it. Because you do it unconsciously. It just happens. It's the way it is. Our mind automatically tries to make sense of life, so it interprets, trying to see how we fit in. Lots of times, most times, all times, our interpretation is what's causing stress. Okay? So if you play with that, just starting to notice that. Sometimes my friend will say something to me and I'll be like, are you interpreting what I said? And we just laugh about it, because so simply, simple example. So you're home, your husband comes home from work, so he's in a bad mood. Okay, the facts are he's in a bad mood. He came home from work, he's in a bad mood. The interpretation is, if somebody says, oh, he's mad at me, what did I do? There's no sign he's mad at you. Okay. Or more dramatically, as I had a client do once, he's having an affair. I'm like, whoa, how did you go from that to that? Or the house must be too dirty. Okay. So we automatically interpret. So it's fun to just observe those and see what they are. You're just playing with it. Don't judge yourself for anything. You're just seeing how you interpret. Because once you start seeing that, it'll be easier to shift those interpretations. So if you've never considered this fun idea, definitely think about this. So you want to play with this, noticing that first. When you're in stress, you'll notice that you'll be in the they, them, blaming things. You feel bad because of this. You'll notice stress. We all know what that feels like, right? So you notice that, and then you decide if you want to feel better or not. Your choice. You can decide. You get to decide. And then consider what you might be attached to. You're going to think about that because that will help lead you to how you need to reframe it. Then you think about, you're going to create that new story, reinterpret it, reframe it. It's about you. It's all about you, whatever you want. It's not about the other person. You're not going to change the other person. Don't even try. How much of our stress is that? We're trying to make them be different. Good luck on that. Not going to happen. So you want to do that. So it's all about you, not another person's behaviors. You may not be able to change your physical situation. If you can change it, and you want to change it, then go ahead and do that. But frequently, our stress comes from uncontrollable situations. We lose the job. We have a loss in our life. So a lot of times it comes from that. Lots of times our stress comes from our own feelings of not being good enough. Keep that in the back of your mind. Some of you, if this has been helpful, you may have to go back and listen to this again and take notes. This is a free workshop just for you so that you can live better. Whoa, how exciting. So after that, some questions that you might consider as you reinterpret that might help you if you're not sure exactly how to do it. What are you learning that you can only learn from this situation? There's always something. You will be learning. Use my favorites what if game. What if whatever is happening to you is the best outcome? What if this is exactly what you need to become the best version of you? What if it's exactly what you need? Whoa, right? I heard a million years ago, there are no problems, only opportunities. So if you can reframe, you can use that one. That's a great one. I used that one for a long time for every problem I had. How can I turn this problem into an opportunity? An opportunity for self-growth, an opportunity to practice compassion, an opportunity to practice kindness, an opportunity to not take something personally when it had nothing to do with me. So many ways we can do it. There are no problems, only opportunities. This reframe is all about you. You interpret it so you feel better. We don't really care how the other people feel. I know that sounds heartless, but we don't. Their story is their story. We can empathize with them. We can be compassionate, we can be kind, we can be loving, we can be caring, but we don't have to take their energy on. Just like I didn't have to take my son's energy on, his sadness. I didn't have to take that on. I don't have to take a mean person's energy on. It's the same thing. But I can still be in my power as a kind, caring, loving person and still be compassionate. Isn't that amazing? I think that's so amazing that we can do this. So once you're aware and you start to play with this, you will radically change your life. I guarantee it. I automatically shift my interpretation on everything. Anytime I feel badly, what interpretation can I change? I think out of all my lessons, this is probably the deepest one I teach. This takes a lot of an ability to be open to yourself, being willing to honestly look at yourself, to being willing to try something and play with the energy of how that feels and step into it. This is a big one. If you've been following me for a while, then you know how I am. And I try to keep things a little bit simpler, but this is so essential to move out of that stress. These days, so many of us are struggling. And as we come out of COVID, amen, as we come out of that and people are starting to get jobs back and get new jobs and stuff, hope is coming back. So it'd be great if we could step out of the stress ahead of time. Hard to go through a job interview if you're so fixated on needing that very job. If you have the reframe of this or something better is coming to me right now, I am the perfect person for this job. Whether it is or not, we don't know. Set the intention, but that can help shift the energy some. Okay, going back and checking your comments, because I just went on and on right there for a sec. So much to say to you all. This definitely helped. Good. I hope this definitely helps. Uplifting. The universe is working for you, not against you. Good point to be reminded of, Tom. Yes, thank you. Yes, the universe meets you. I did a show a while ago, could be months ago for all I know, called Reimagine Your Life, and I'm pretty sure I talked about that. So it's on my page, Colleen Van Der Zijden, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach. Go to videos. You can see all the past shows. If you've missed any, you can see the topics. Clicking on them will get you the descriptions, etc. And the universe does help you. The Game of Life book is good too, yes. So when my book comes out, let me sing for a minute because it's at the editors. Whoa. So it's called Courageously You, and that will be coming out in late summer or maybe early fall. Amen. And it's all about strategies to help you live your best life. It has my magical mind games in there and everything that will be out there, and practical things you can do so you feel better and get yourself back into your power so you're happier. Yay! So that's me in a nutshell. The book is me. You'll learn everything about me in that book. So anyway, I wanted to mention that, which I didn't know I did until I did. So here we are. I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will respond. I will look at the comments shortly after the show concludes, and I will let you know what we're talking about next week. I got a couple ideas as usual, but we got to see how spirit takes me and where we go. You can connect with me at psychicmediumcolleen.com or be brave, ColleenVanderzijden.com. LilyDellAssembly.org. You can see all of the workshops. That's what I want to say. All of the workshops. Click the Learn at the top. You'll go right to the calendar. You can see everything. There is also another link right below there that has the program book, and you can go through it page by page. Order one, call them, ask them to mail you one. I recommend calling rather than emailing. It may be more efficient. Do that. You can see everything that's coming. And next week I'll tell you more about everything that's happening at Lilydale. I just knew I had so much to talk about tonight that I didn't want to take time on that. Sorry. Next week. Okay. I believe that is all I have to say. So I do thank you so much again for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.